Look at these amazing foods. This is really truly a bounty, a cornucopia. But let me tell you, in these beautiful foods are hundreds of micronutrients that are beyond the macronutrients such as vitamins and minerals that you may be familiar with. I'm sure there's even more waiting to be discovered. In today's series, we're actually going to be talking about the health benefits of these ordinary foods that actually make them extraordinary. You can think of them as superfoods, but what they do is they actually confirm the ancient wisdom, let food be thy medicine. There's been a tremendous amount of research with these micronutrients, in particular within the phytochemicals. Phytochemicals, there's literally hundreds of them. They're nutritive compounds that are found in all plants. The way that I like to think about them, it's the personality that really drives the health benefits of these phytochemicals. For example, if you look at the beautiful hues of yellow, red, orange, even purple or even white, these are actually compounds driven by the phytochemicals to influence health benefits. These happen to offer the ability for your blood to be less sticky, which can ultimately decrease your heart risk. Now, if you think about the flavors, such as in these beautiful broccoli rabe, the bitter flavors or the bright citrus flavors or the anise-like flavors of fennel, these contain anti-inflammatory compounds. Or maybe even the strong flavors of garlic and onion, which actually are related to antiviral and antibacterial properties. But a plant food doesn't have to be bright to offer health benefits. These beautiful natural hues of beige and black, even white and browns within these nuts and seeds and beans can actually influence hormone metabolism in a beneficial way. Let's not forget our wonderful extra virgin olive oil that contains one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory compounds that actually provide flavor that we love in extra virgin olive oil, but can actually deliver health benefits. And it's interesting to note that in Greek history, a long time ago, they understood and they valued the health benefits of plant. It was said that rosemary was worn a little sprig behind your ear because it was thought to protect against memory loss. Well, lo and behold, in today's research, we're actually finding that there's compounds in this very strong and aromatic rosemary that can boost the memory. So, as we think about this wonderful bounty and we realize how important the research is, we actually can appreciate that these compounds work synergistically or together to exert their health benefits. And that's why we're going to turn to Chef Bill for some ideas on how to cook with these amazing, beautiful foods.
Today we're going to make a pasta dish that is loaded with bitter greens, broccoli rabe. Some people call it rapini. From a chef's perspective, bitter greens, while they taste great when they're properly seasoned, if they're not properly seasoned, they can be all about bitterness and pretty unpalatable. So let's go ahead and get started. I put some pasta into this water. Pasta loves to cook in abundant boiling water. So I've got the pasta in. I would say for a pound of pasta, about 6 quarts of water is minimum. I've seasoned this so that I can just taste the salt. And this is going to take about 12 minutes to cook. Now let me tell you a word or two about this pasta. I have some here. It's penne, but it's kind of an interesting pasta. What makes it interesting is that it's made with whole grains, not just one but a number, and there's also bean flour that has been added to this grain. So grains and legumes together give you complete protein. This is a complete protein food. If I were using just a conventional pasta, I might be tempted to put some white beans in this dish, and I have some white beans right here, but we don't need them because of the special pasta that we're using. The bitter greens that I have laid out, as I said, are broccoli rabe, or you may know them as rabe or rapini. They come in a bunch of about a pound and a half. The last inch and a half on the bottom. The stems tend to be a little bit coarse, and so usually I cut that off and just discard it. The balance is great, and I'm going to cut it into about 3-inch lengths and set it aside until I'm ready for it. Now, I'm going to start a sauce while the pasta is cooking. And it's a very simple one. It's taking advantage of these beautiful golden tomatoes that I found at the market. And it starts with a really full-flavored olive oil. And I'm going to add onions to that pan. And we'll turn the heat up because I'm interested not only in the onions becoming tender, but maybe even taking on a little color. As this dish gets more full-flavored, the accompaniments need to be full-flavored as well. So caramelization on onions is a good thing. The pasta's coming along nicely. This particular pasta takes about 12 minutes to cook. And I had an idea that after it's cooked for 6 to 8 minutes, I would simply add the broccoli rabe to the same pot and let them cook together. They'll finish at the same time, and I save myself a little bit of cleanup later on. So make sure that you check the time on the package, how long it needs to cook, and then keep your eye on the clock as the pasta is cooking. As soon as this starts to brown even a little bit, I'm going to add sliced garlic, big chunks of sliced garlic in sort of a rustic way. Maybe chunks is the wrong way to describe it. It's sliced very thin, but it's pretty big pieces. I'm also going to add some pepper flakes, and then there's a version of this dish that uses Italian sausage. It's one of the things I love, but we're committed to lightening this dish a little bit, so I took some of the seasonings from Italian sausage, like fennel seed, and I'm just going to add that flavor. Not the meat, just the flavor. All right, I'm seeing a little bit of browning here. In goes the garlic, and you can see I'm not being shy. Be careful that the garlic doesn't burn. And the way that we're going to cool this pan down, if the garlic starts to brown, is with these tomatoes. So I'm going to watch them here like a hawk, stir them, and as soon as I see the first little bit of golden brown, I'm going to bring the heat of this pan down by adding more food at room temperature. I'm going to underscore this idea one more time because it's important. Browned garlic becomes bitter. So just barely golden and then stop the cooking. All right, there we are. I'm going to turn the heat down. And these tomatoes are going to give up a little bit of water. I'm going to add some pepper flakes. I'm going to add the fennel seed that has been ground. I don't think we'll need pepper because of the pepper flakes. And before you put salt in, recognize that this dish will be finished with a salty cheese, Parmesan, and that I may even finish this dish with some of the cooking water from the pasta, which has been salted as well. So a modest amount of salt early on, I think, is the order of the day. This pasta has cooked for about 6 to 8 minutes now. All of the broccoli rabe is going to go in, and it will cook right along with the pasta. One of the tricks I will share for taming the bitterness of broccoli rabe is to boil it in abundant water and don't cook it al dente. Let it get nice and tender. That way the cell structure begins to break down and some of the bitterness will leach out into the water. So I have a piece of Parmesan. We're going to add Parmesan to this pasta right at the end. I'm going to turn this pan way down low. We're going to add Parmesan to this pasta right at the end and recognize it lends a wonderful savory flavor. But more than that, it lends a lot of salt. It also is made from milk, and there is milk fat in there. So maybe the way to get the most bang for your buck is to take the cheese and grate it very, very fine. And I've got a tool here. This is the darling of every chef these days. It's called a microplane. It used to be a woodworking tool, but it's made its way into the kitchen. And if you take a look, you can see how finely the microplane grates this cheese. That way, we'll get the maximum amount of flavor and not feel as though we need to use too much cheese. All right, I want to test this pasta and see how it tastes. Almost done. Oftentimes when you cook pasta at home, you have the pasta in the water, you put a colander in the sink, and you just dump the pot right into the colander. And while you separate the water from the pasta, you lose the water, and you can't repurpose it. It has a wonderful flavor and texture for having had pasta cooked in it. If you do that at home, before you dump it in the colander, take 3 or 4 ladlefuls of this water out of the pot, set it aside and reserve it. What I have here is a special pot with a liner, and I can pull the perforated liner up and drain all the water off of that pasta. I'm going to do that right now. You'll get a chance to see it. Slowly. So now I have all of the water available to me, and I can just set it on an angle like this, and it will continue to drain, but I'm going to take it and put it right into the pan. And we'll toss this together. Now, at this point, the pasta is cooked, but because it's such a starchy preparation, it remains a little bit thirsty. So I love to reserve the option of adding a little bit more water and turning the heat back up and letting this pasta cook a little bit more just with the sauce. The nice thing is that the pasta will absorb the flavor of the sauce as it continues to cook this last little bit. Okay, I'm going to add some cheese to this hot pasta. Again, the microplane is my friend. It gives me plenty of cheese flavor, plenty of coverage, and not very much cheese. This idea of a full-flavored cheese, using less of a full-flavored cheese rather than more of a cheese that doesn't have much flavor, I think, is a great strategy, too, when you're trying to change the way you eat a little bit. All right, we'll toss that together. Let's bring our plate up here. And then a little bit more cheese on top. And a quick drizzle of olive oil. When this nice olive oil hits a hot pasta like this, the aroma is just spectacular. Simple as that. Later on, Connie will tell you a little bit about the importance of bitter greens.
One of the easiest ways to get more variety or health into your diet is to think about eating from the colors of the rainbow. There's an enormous amount of selection here, and we know that colors actually contain distinct health-promoting phytochemicals. Let's take a look at some of these colors. For example, in leafy greens like broccoli rabe or spinach, or the dark green hues of fennel, asparagus, even bell peppers or broccoli, are powerful compounds that are related to chlorophyll, which can actually decrease your risk for heart disease, diabetes, and even cancer. It is recommended by dietary guidelines to eat at least 3 cups a week of dark greens. Now, I know what you may be thinking, that dark green is not your favorite color, but we'll look later on to Chef Bill for some ideas on tasty, dark green recipes. Look at these beautiful colors of red and orange and yellow. The tones of red, yellow, and orange actually contain a compound called carotenoids. You may recognize one of these members as lycopene, which is very recent in the news. Carotenoids are very critical for immune function and possibly even decreasing your risk of heart disease and cancer. It's recommended that we eat 2 servings a week of the yellow and the orange tones. And don't forget your very simple tones of white. It's not colorless. Colorless actually is the deep white pigment that is due to the anthocyanins, a powerful antioxidant that is actually being looked at for decreasing the risk of atherosclerosis, or you may have heard of it as hardening of the arteries. So look to cauliflower, to garlic, to onions, even to these very pale colored beans that contain the color white. So white is a very important color, just as is its very opposite color, black, such as in the color of the eggplant skin, or these dark black beans, or even within the colors of blueberries and blackberries. And these pigments actually are being researched for the possibility of decreasing the risk factors associated with Alzheimer's and memory loss. So as you can see, these amazing colors have a lot of health benefit. And if you think smart, you'll think about eating them in combinations because these colors work synergistically. They actually have an ability to combine with each other to maximize their health benefits, making cooking a very important component of eating all the colors of the rainbow. Taking supplements which isolate one or a few nutrients, such as phytochemicals, may not be really the best way to maximize and use those health benefits. Getting your nutrients from wholesome foods that are actually even seasonal is really the best way. Phytochemicals and other nutrients actually exert their best benefits when they're in the company of others. They have this synergistic effect to support each other. So think about natural, wholesome foods for getting your best health benefits. For example, look at this wonderful dish of broccoli rabe prepared with a multi-grain pasta, a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil with a little bit of Parmesan cheese, and beautiful fresh tomatoes. This is really a great idea for a healthy dish that's also flavorful. It's interesting to note that broccoli rabe happens to have a very bitter flavor. Maybe some of you have already tasted this. Those bitter flavors are a result of the flavonoids, very powerful antioxidant compounds that have anti-inflammatory benefits. But the reality is it's a bitter flavor, and not many of us enjoy that. The way it's prepared with the extra virgin olive oil not only is smart for flavor, but it can also maximize the health benefits because flavonoids, or these bitter flavors, are fat soluble. So it's really a marriage made in heaven for health and for taste. The idea of combining these dishes together also maximizes the health benefits of tomatoes. Tomatoes are a rich source of vitamin C, and the vitamin C that is contained in these tomatoes can help your body absorb the calcium that is contained in the broccoli rabe. It's just a smart pairing. I'm going to happen to think about using lime or lemon to give a boost of flavor. But remember, citrus, like lemon, has some very powerful compounds that can actually reduce the risk for blood pressure. So not only are you adding flavor with the lemon and you're brightening the flavors, but you're also adding a dose of health. So you can see how important it is to combine your foods from a flavor perspective, but also from a health perspective. Let's ask Chef Bill what other dishes we're going to be making that will emphasize more color on our plate.
I want to show you how easy it can be to work some of these power foods into your diet in a really simple way. I'm going to make a 3-bean salad, and I'm going to start with the dressing. So, a vinaigrette is a simple dressing. It has some shallots in there, and I love to kind of deflame those shallots with just a splash of vinegar. And if we want the oil and the vinegar to hold together, some sort of emulsifier is handy. And what I'm using today is some Dijon mustard. All right, so Dijon mustard, shallots, vinegar, and I want to add 3 times as much oil as vinegar. That's a pretty standard ratio. Whip like a madman and add the oil very slowly. If it ever starts looking greasy or oily, slow down how quickly you're adding the oil because you want it to be emulsified. The mustard is a great emulsifier. And that is that. Save for the fact that I haven't seasoned it. Salt goes in and pepper. A nice stir. And let me show you how this 3-bean salad is going to come together. As you can see, I have steamed green beans, steamed wax beans, and I found some low-sodium chickpeas that were canned. I drained those. In goes red onion. And some of this wonderful vinaigrette. Now we've got a lot of vegetable matter here. So if when it all comes together, you taste it and decide it needs a little more punch, it tastes pretty good, but I'm going to give it just a little splash of vinegar and a pinch more salt. And that should sit aside to marinate for 15 or 20 minutes. But it doesn't have to be hard. Now, this vinaigrette that we made, you can think of almost like a mother sauce. I could make another dressing from this. In fact, I could make any number of dressings from it. Imagine that I added a little bit of pickled ginger with the vinegar that it comes in and some sesame oil. This suddenly became an Asian vinaigrette. I'll set that aside because I'm not going to do it today. What I am going to do is I'm going to make a garlic, oregano, and lemon vinaigrette by introducing chopped garlic, introducing a little bit of dried oregano, and some lemon juice. That gets stirred together, and I'm going to make another salad. Take a look here. I'm going to make a salad that has roasted peppers. I just bought canned roasted peppers. Piquillo peppers are great if you can find them. And some shrimp that are all cooked and ready to go. I want to season these shrimp with this assertive, lemony vinaigrette that has the flavor of oregano and garlic in it. And I'll hit it with a few pepper flakes. And what I really love is to look in the refrigerator and see what's there, just to add some color. I found some fennel tops. And rather than throw them away, I'm just going to chop them up and add them. Now, when you taste this, remember this is a lemony vinaigrette. If you wanted a little more lemon juice, could make it pop, but I think it's great. And then let me show you a third dish that could be made by combining both of these. All right, I'm going to bring over a couple of plates. First, let me put some of this 3-bean salad out. It's exciting how fresh it looks. This is sort of a visual romp through the farmer's market here. And then I'm going to make a salad. Imagine a composed salad. that starts with nice dark leafy greens. This is spinach, and I'm going to put some of this 3-bean salad in with our greens. And then I'm going to add some of the shrimp and the peppers as well. And a little bit of this vinaigrette to coat the spinach. And we'll toss that all together. You know, a couple of simple salads can quickly become a fancy dinner. So let's put a bed of the greens down below. And then, as we make our way to the top, start to introduce the shrimp and the 3 beans. And if you like the idea as much as I do, then a few toasted almonds gives you a nice crunch, almost as though you were adding some croutons to a dish like that. So, in 5 quick minutes, 3 very distinct dishes that can be simple or a little bit more elegant. In both cases, they're really healthy and good for you.
We're going to be appreciating this beautiful salad for the amazing flavors, but also for some extraordinary health benefits that you're going to love. Do you recognize the portion sizes just yet? Is it starting to become second nature? Well, let's refer back to our Sonoma Smart Plate. They're very similar. First of all, don't forget about our plate being 50% vegetable, 20% whole grain, and 30% lean protein. This is actually very similar, only that it's arranged in a much more appealing way and the foods are actually combined, but you're still getting those same smart portions that actually happen to emphasize more plant protein to animal protein. Let's take a look, first of all, where our proteins are. We have a nice balance of plant proteins coming from spinach, almonds, and the little bit of quinoa that is dispersed into the salad. And then our animal protein is coming from these delicious grilled shrimp. This is really already your first smart move towards a healthy plate. The portions are also really nicely balanced, and right away you're probably noticing that we have at least 2 to 3 colors here. These colors really signify powerful antioxidants from the carotenoid family, which are in those beautiful orange colors and red colors, to the chlorophyll and the flavonoid colors that are in that leafy greens and the green beans. Both of them very important to reduce inflammation. Now, what's really smart about this salad is that for flavor, we actually season this with extra virgin olive oil, an important source of healthy fat, and almonds, which are also a source of healthy fats. Don't forget that these carotenoids and flavonoids are actually fat soluble, so you're really maximizing how these antioxidants will work in the body. Now, this salad is really important too because it helps make best use of the amount of iron that is contained in the folic acid rich spinach and in your shrimp. Vitamin C coming from tomatoes and bell peppers and spinach actually helps your body absorb iron coming from both plant and animal sources. So you can actually see this is a really smart salad, and whether you use spinach, which is rich in calcium, folic acid, and vitamin K, critical for eye vision, you can also use really smart lettuces like arugula, watercress, maybe you like radicchio. The whole idea is to move away from iceberg, which really offers very little nutrition, to something more nutrient rich. So what you end up with is a delicious and really smart salad. Mix and match your fruits and vegetables with your nuts and your grains, not only for a beautiful, appealing plate, but also for the power to decrease health risk and actually, and more importantly, improve your health. Make an effort to get more variety, more color, because this is really important for improving and expanding the roster of protective nutrients. So take a look at your plate. If you don't have the 2 or 3 colors, get some more color in there so you can boost the health. Now, some combinations are actually easier. One of my favorites is dark chocolate and almonds, the best. So let's go to Chef Bill for one more recipe.
If somebody offered you a fire and ice salad, would you know what to expect? Well, I'm going to show you. What I've got here is a bowl full of melon that's been diced up. It's really ripe and sweet and delicious, aromatic. The fire is going to be chilies. I've got some jalapenos diced up, and the ice is going to be lime juice. So here's how this salad comes together. I'm going to put a little bit of ginger that's been diced up right into this bowl of melon. And then I'm going to add some fire, a little bit of heat in the form of diced jalapenos. If you like it spicy, add some serranos. But take it easy. We're going to toss this together. Already it looks great, but I want to season it with salt. The salt will help balance the sweetness of that melon. And then I want a lot of lime juice, which will cut through the sweetness and give us a more complex finished salad that tastes almost savory, almost. Let's see what we've got here. A little more lime, and I love the heat. That salad's ready to go. That's all it takes. This keeps really nicely in the refrigerator for 2 or 3 days. It's really refreshing with grilled food or anything that's spicy. You know, it is spicy in its own right, but at the end of the day, I think of it as refreshing. I just think it looks great. It's great with Asian food. In fact, sometimes when I put this salad up, I will garnish it with just a little bit of cilantro. Sort of reinforce that idea of Asian or even Latin flavors. And that's all there is to it. Fire and ice melon salad. Take a look at that and make sure the next time you've got melon on hand, you try it too.